In this video, I'm going to review a selection of 5 shoes that Carmina sent us to review and talk about what makes these women's shoes truly unique out there in the marketplace. I'm Kirby Allison, and I love helping the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes. Join me as we explore the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. One of the most surprising elements of my visit to Carmina's New York boutique was discovering that they had a huge collection of beautiful women's shoes. I knew they did great stuff for men, but had no idea how exceptional their women's shoes were. Now, whenever you look at these women's shoes, it's hard not to fall in love with them. Even as a man, I look at these and I think, wow, those are really good looking shoes that are all classically inspired by models that you would find on the other side of the shoe store for men. First and foremost, let's talk about what Goodyear Welting is. Now, the reason I want to start with Goodyear Welting is it's this characteristic that truly makes Carmina's shoes for women unique. Now, if you go to a normal shoe boutique at a department store or even a fashion house, you're not going to find Goodyear Welted shoes. Instead, you're going to find shoes that are cemented together or sewn together via a Blake stitch, which is a different technique. Now, the problem with cementing or Blake stitching is that it's very difficult to re-sole the shoes whenever the outsole becomes worn, basically limiting the lifespan of a pair of shoes. Now, Goodyear Welting is the de rigueur amongst men's dress shoes, because if you're investing in a high-quality pair of footwear with a full-grain leather upper, the lifetime of the shoe is several outsoles. So by the time the outsole is worn out, you don't have to replace the shoe, and with Goodyear Welting, that's very easily done by a skilled cobbler. Now, the problem with most women's shoes is that it's nearly impossible to find a Goodyear Welted shoe, if not totally impossible. Most women's shoes basically have the outsole cemented onto the bottom of the upper, basically making it all but impossible to replace that outsole once it's become worn. Now, in fast fashion, that's fine, but if you're investing in a classical dress shoe that really is timeless and that you could wear for decades, you want to be able to re-sole that shoe in order to realize the full value of what you've invested in. Now, Goodyear Welting allows this to happen. What Goodyear Welted is technically is that there's a small linen rib that is attached to the bottom of the insole. Then you have the upper that is stretched around the last and basically sewn to that linen rib. What you end up with the Goodyear Welting shoe is a piece of welt, right? It's leather, that through which all these elements are sewn. And so it's that welt that holds the entire shoe together. Now, this is important because then you take your leather outsole and you sew that on top of this into the welt. Now, not only does it make a more comfortable shoe, but most importantly, it makes a shoe for which, once the leather outsole becomes worn, it can be easily taken off and re-sewn back on without disturbing any of the integrity of the shoe itself. Now, a long time ago, this is how all women's shoes were made, but with the technological advances of mass production, they've learned how to glue the outsoles or do a Blake stitch where basically one piece of stitching sews everything together, and it's allowed for the faster production of shoes and also, unfortunately, a drop in quality. Now, for fast fashion, that may be okay, but for Carmina, a brand that is a heritage brand that is really focusing on quality and craftsmanship, for the fact that all of their women's shoes are Goodyear Welted is actually a huge advantage. These shoes are all made from high-quality leather uppers, the same quality leather that you find in Carmina's men's shoes. Now, what does that mean? It means that with your calfskin, you're getting a full-grain, open-pore leather that is going to age beautifully and only look better with time, that can be polished and conditioned to make it last even longer, and that has depth and dimension to it. It also means that you have access to various materials, like, for instance, Cordovan. Cordovan is a very unique material that is actually from a horse and not from a cow, that has a shiny kind of texture to it. It has no pore structure and is incredibly durable, which has made it a cult classic amongst male road warriors. Now, finding a Cordovan shoe in a women's model, I think, is all but impossible. I've never heard of it. And it's this access to really special and unique materials that I think makes Carmina's women's collection really unique. Now, in addition to Cordovan, of course, they have exotics, alligator, crocodile, lizard. They also have woven uppers, which are incredibly elegant and beautiful. But in addition to the variety in materials, what you also have is a variety of styles. Now here we have a double monk, we have a Darby that has some beautiful broguing and punching across the cap toe. But then we have several models of boots, like this Balmoral, which is a high boot with lacing. I mean, this is exactly the type of boot that you would find a woman wearing in the 1920s and 30s. And there's a certain elegance to this, to see this same type of boot worn today. Here we have a Jodhpur, which is high boot, but has this leather strap that goes around it. Absolutely beautiful, kind of elegant toe shape that again is very feminine and that makes this collection of shoes very unique. And then here you have an incredibly classic Chelsea boot. Again, this is the same type of boot that you could find from a fashion designer at a high street boutique, but for half the price and honestly twice the quality. It's made from a full grain leather upper. It has a Goodyear Welting construction so that you can re-sole it if you need to. This shoe has a combination kind of rubber and leather outsole construction, which gives it a little bit additional durability. And then even if you look at the way that the welt is trimmed around here, you have the stitching. This is called the outsole stitching that stitches the outsole to the welt itself. All this is done at an incredibly high stitch density that gives these shoes elegant finesse and refinement that again is just not common out there in the world of women's shoes. Now, unfortunately, they only sent us 5 models, but if you go to their website or if you visit their boutique, there is an entire wall of these shoes, and I just found myself really lingering, staring at these shoes and admiring just how beautiful and how elegant they are. Let's take a look at this red Darby. This is a beautiful, kind of classically inspired dress shoe, but you can see that the last shape of this shoe, the toe shape, is very feminine and very elegant. Although this is a very traditional conservative model, because it is fire engine red, it's actually even more elegant than that, but because of its color of red, in many ways, is actually quite fashion forward. Yet it maintains a beautiful shape and toe shape that makes it very feminine and very elegant. I love how the edges and heels are dyed red to match the upper, and then also continuing to the bottom of this shoe, this features an invisible blind stitch where this channel is actually cut into so that the outsole is sewn onto the welt and then covered back up. So unlike a shoe like this, right, where you have an open channel, the channel stitching or the outsole stitching on the bottom of this shoe is totally 100% completely concealed. It's this level of finishing throughout the entire shoe that really make these truly elegant and beautiful. Even if you look at the way that the outsole stitching is done here, it's incredibly neat, it's close to the upper, there's beautiful last definition here, especially underneath the arch, and then it's done at a high stitch density of 8 stitches per inch. Most ready-to-wear men's Goodyear Welted dress shoes have an SPI on the outsole of 4 stitches per inch. This is nearly or double that at 8. That creates that refinement and that elegance of a really well-crafted shoe. Look at the little wraps at the end of the laces, beautiful woven 100% cotton dress laces. And then of course, even looking to the interior of the shoe, it's fully leather socked with a beautiful insole. It's just an absolutely elegant shoe. And for someone that's into this aesthetic, it truly is unique and not something that you're ever gonna see someone else wearing. Now this Cordovan shoe, as I spoke to earlier, is also very unique merely because of the Cordovan leather. You just don't find Cordovan very commonly used at all, although Carmina has really carved out a niche of really being probably the most prolific manufacturer of Cordovan men's dress shoes. But to see this in a ladies shoe is just totally unique. I've never been into a department store and seen a Cordovan ladies dress shoe. Cordovan is prized. It's made from a tannery in Chicago called Horween. That is one of the only, if not one of the few remaining tanneries still tanning Cordovan leather. And it features this beautiful kind of waxy, glossy texture that is natural to the leather itself. It's incredibly durable to be cared for. All it really needs to be is brushed, and it's just an incredibly durable, beautiful shoe. Now with the way that the upper is sewn together here, you can see that again here, across the upper as these pieces are sewn together. It's done with incredible precision and with a high stitch density. And again, all those elements just are the elements of refinement that really pull together and really make this a refined, elegant shoe. Beautiful hardware. The heel block is very elegantly dyed. It sits very tightly underneath the back of the heel. Everything about this shoe really is exceptional. Moving on to the boots, one of the things I like about the women's shoes also is that they have a large variety of different outsole types, right? So this is a combination rubber and leather outsole that still gives you a little bit of that refinement right here at the waist of a full leather outsole. But here on the forward part of the shoe, it's rubber. So ladies that might want a little bit additional stability or grip, it's still quite beautiful, but still practical. The Jodhpur, again, beautiful shoe, absolutely well done. With a little bit of polish on this toe, it would really pop. And these are just all exceptional shoes. Now, one of the things that we don't have here is that Carmina actually has a wide variety of boots and shoes with higher heels. So these are a traditional kind of low heel at about an inch, but they have some 2.5, 3 inch heels on their dress shoes, full leather stacks, Goodyear Welted, that are just exceptionally unique. So we do a lot of work with Carmina. They're one of my favorite brands out there. And so it was really something I requested whenever we were there in New York, that they send us some of their women's shoes, because for anyone that is into quality craftsmanship and tradition, that's a female, knowing that Carmina is out there with an absolutely exceptional range of classically inspired women's dress shoes is really just something I thought everyone would want to know. Of course, Carmina is available online, carmina.shoemaker.com, or if you're in New York, you can visit their boutique right there by Grand Central Station. So for more information about Carmina, you can actually take a look at the video that we filmed at their boutique whenever we were in New York, where we sit down with their shop manager and go through their entire range of shoes. And we actually have some content in that video about the women's collection that really has served as the foundation and inspiration for this video that I'm filming today for you in my office. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I enjoy getting back to as many of those comments as possible. Please take a moment to visit KirbyAllison.com, where we offer the largest collection of luxury garment care and luxury shoe care accessories in the world, as well as other great accessories for the well-dressed, like this sovereign grade jacquard dress tie I'm wearing today. I'm Kirby Allison, and I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while exploring the world of quality craftsmanship and tradition. Thanks for joining me.